Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. President Ramnath Kovind confers gallantry awards and distinguished service decorations to armed forces personnel. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu appreciates the role of Indian Railways during the pandemic, flags off Visakhapatnam Kirandul passenger train and additional Vistadome coaches. Home Minister Amit Shah pays tribute to tribal freedom fighters, lays foundation stone for setting up of Rani Gaidinliu Tribal Freedom Fighters Museum in Imphal East. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia chairs a review meeting on vaccination progress with northeastern states and Union Territory of Puducherry. Labour and Employment Minister Bhupender Yadav initiates the first ever All India Domestic Workers Survey covering 742 districts in 37 states and UTs. Central team to visit flood-affected areas of Tamil Nadu to assess damages caused by heavy rains. More than 116 crore 87 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.31%. In Gujarat, classes for students from 1st to 5th resume from today. Austria imposes nationwide lockdown following massive spike in COVID-19 cases. And in hockey, Men's Junior World Cup 2021 tournament to begin from Wednesday in Odisha. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing. Focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. President Ramnath Kovind today presented gallantry awards and distinguished service decorations to armed forces personnel for displaying indomitable courage and extreme devotion to duty at the Defence Investiture ceremony held in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Sapper Prakash Jadhav from Corps of Engineers has been accorded the second highest peacetime gallantry award, Kirti Chakra, posthumously for neutralizing terrorists in an operation in Jammu and Kashmir. His wife and mother received the award from the President. Major Vibhuti Shankar Dhondial was accorded the Shaurya Chakra posthumously for his role in an operation where 5 terrorists were eliminated and 200 kilogram explosive material was recovered. His wife, Lieutenant Nitika Kaul, and mother Saroj Dhondial received the award. Naib Subedar Sombir was accorded Shaurya Chakra posthumously for killing an A++ category terrorist during an operation in Jammu and Kashmir. His wife and mother received the award. Group Captain Abhinandan Vardhaman, who shot down a Pakistani F-16 fighter aircraft in a dogfight, was honoured with Veer Chakra.
विंग कमांडर वर्तमान अभिनंदन ने अपनी व्यक्तिगत सुरक्षा की परवाह न करते हुए अपने कर्तव्य के प्रति असाधारण समर्पण तथा शत्रु के सामने अदम्य साहस और शौर्य का प्रदर्शन किया. ग्रुप कैप्टन वर्तमान अभिनंदन.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Minister of State for Defence Ajay Bhatt were present on the occasion along with other dignitaries.
The Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today lauded the role of Indian Railways during the pandemic. He also praised Railways with their novel efforts to keep the wheels running and customers protected from the unprecedented challenges posed by COVID-19. He said speedy development should be the agenda of the government.
people's agenda, political party's agenda should be PD development. This should be our motto. 75th year of our independence is approaching very fast. On this occasion, I call upon the people, look back, what happened? What are the development initiatives? What are the shortcomings? What are the steps that are needed to step up the development, because people want speedy development, and ultimately all of us should work for creating happiness in the minds of the people.
Mr. Nadu said the Indian Railways gear up to help the country effectively tackle the pandemic by providing care isolation coaches, Shramik special trains and oxygen expresses. The Vice President also complimented the Railways for the development and production of PPEs, coveralls, hand sanitizers and masks, and ensuring the transport of medical equipment and general goods to cities and villages, and kept the essential lifeline alive. The Vice President, while speaking at Visakhapatnam Railway Station, Andhra Pradesh, after flagging off the Visakhapatnam-Kirandul passenger train and additional Vista Dome coaches, referring to the tourism potential of the route, which passes through a scenic mountainous terrain of Eastern Ghats through many curves, tunnels and bridges. Venkaiah Naidu said the 360-degree viewing system of the Vista Dome coaches will make the journey an unforgettable experience for the passengers.
Home Minister Amit Shah today paid glowing tributes to the innumerable tribal heroes who valiantly fought against the Britishers during the freedom movement. Mr. Shah was speaking after laying the foundation stone through video conference for setting up of the Rani Gaidinliu Tribal Freedom Fighters Museum at Luangkau village, Tamenglong district in Imphal East. The project has been sanctioned by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs at an estimated cost of 15 crore rupees. Mr. Shah said Rani Gaidinliu's contribution to the freedom movement cannot be forgotten.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on the 28th of this month. It will be the 83rd episode of the monthly radio program. The Prime Minister has invited people to share the ideas for this month's episode. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he wants to hear from people on possible themes and topics for this month's Mann Ki Baat. He urged people to share insights on MyGov, the Namo app, or record the message. People can dial the toll-free number 1800-117800 and record the message for the Prime Minister in either Hindi or English. The phone lines will remain open till Friday. Some of the recorded messages may become part of the broadcast. People can also give a missed call on 1922 and follow the link received in SMS to directly give the suggestions to the Prime Minister.
Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia today chaired a review meeting on vaccination progress with senior officials from states of Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland and Union Territory of Puducherry. These states and Union Territory have been reporting low vaccination coverage. Reiterating that vaccination is the most potent weapon in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, the Health Minister urged the states and Union Territory to innovatively rope in all stakeholders, including NGOs, faith-based organizations, religious leaders, community influencers, and other partners to speed up vaccination coverage. He asked them to address issues of hesitancy, misinformation, and superstition.
More than 116 crore 87 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Health Ministry said over 32 lakh 99,000 doses were administered yesterday. India reported over 8,000 new cases during the last 24 hours. India's active caseload stands at 1,18,443. Active cases account for less than 1% of the total cases, and it is currently at 0.34%, the lowest since March last year. The ministry said the recovery rate is currently at 98.31% and it is the highest since March last year. Government has said that over 131 crore 5 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and UTs so far through centers free of cost channel and through direct state procurement category. Health Ministry said more than 21 crore 64 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and UTs to be administered. As part of the nationwide vaccination drive, Centre has been supporting the states and UTs by providing them COVID vaccines free of cost. In the new phase of the universalization of COVID-19 vaccination drive, the Union Government will procure and supply free of cost 75% of the vaccines being produced by the vaccine manufacturers in the country to states and UTs.
Austria went into nationwide lockdown early today, the first European Union country to take such stringent measures as the coronavirus cases surge. Restaurants and most shops are closed and larger events cancelled. The measures are expected to last for a maximum of 20 days but will be re-evaluated after 10 days. As COVID-19 cases surge across the continent, other European countries are also tightening restrictions. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison today said Australia will allow foreign visa holders to enter the country and restart international travel from December to support its economy. Australia shut its international border in May 2020 and allowed only restricted numbers of citizens and permanent residents to enter in a bid to curtail the spread of COVID-19.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. President Ramnath Kovind confers gallantry awards and distinguished service decorations to armed forces personnel. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu appreciates the role of Indian Railways during the pandemic. Flags of Visakhapatnam Kirandul passenger train and additional Vista Dome coaches. Home Minister Amit Shah pays tributes to tribal freedom fighters, lays foundation stone for setting up of Rani Gaidanliu Tribal Freedom Fighters Museum in Imphal East. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia chairs a review meeting on vaccination progress with northeastern states and Union Territory of Puducherry. Labour and Employment Minister Bhupendra Yadav initiates the first ever All India Domestic Workers Survey covering 742 districts in 37 states and UTs. Central team to visit flood-affected areas of Tamil Nadu to assess damages caused by heavy rains. More than 116 crore 87 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate stands at 98.31%. In Gujarat, classes for students from 1st to 5th resume from today. Austria imposes nationwide lockdown following massive spike in COVID-19 cases. And in hockey, Men's Junior World Cup 2021 tournament to begin from Wednesday in Odisha. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. A central team led by Union Home Ministry Joint Secretary Rajiv Sharma is inspecting rain-ravaged locations in Tamil Nadu for the second day today. The 7-member interdepartmental team reached Chennai last evening and had a briefing from the state officials about the damages caused by the floods. Today, they formed into 2 groups, with the first team making on-the-spot assessment of the damages to properties and infrastructure in Chennai, Chengalpattu and Kanchipuram, while the other team has gone to Kanyakumari district to inspect the crop loss and the battered road and other public assets. Meanwhile, the Met Department has said the upper air circulation currently prevailing over the Southeast Bay is set to trigger heavy rain at a few places in the southern districts of Tamil Nadu for 3 days from today. Our correspondent reports Chennai and its suburbs heaved a sigh of relief as the rain subsided.
The first group of the central team today saw for themselves the extent of damages and the hardships to the public due to the floods in some of the worst affected places like Sivailangur Road near Perambur in Chennai. They are expected to inspect the suburbs later today. The second team would visit the southern district of Kanyakumari from this afternoon and make an on-the-spot review of the flood-ravaged locations. Tomorrow, the teams are scheduled to visit the northern interior districts, including Vellore and Ronipet, where many of the major rivers are still in spate. The delta districts, including Tiruvarur, Nagapattinam and Kadalur, will also be visited by the members of the team, as extensive crop loss is being reported from there. The leader of the team and the Union Home Ministry Joint Secretary Rajiv Sharma has told reporters in Chennai last evening, after a briefing session with the state officials, that they would submit a report to the centre at the earliest after their 2-day on-the-spot assessment. so that the quantum of compensation package could be worked out. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
The death toll in rain-related incidents in different districts of Andhra Pradesh touched 30 as more bodies were retrieved from the flooded streams. At least 12 people are reported missing. The Chennai-Kolkata National Highway 16 remained cut off for traffic between Nellore and Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh. More than 100 express trains were cancelled by railways and 29 more trains diverted because damage to rail tracks near Nellore. The restoration work of railways is going on a war footing. The state government said over 2007 houses have been damaged in 4 flood-hit districts, the highest being 911 in Chittoor, causing damage worth 5.18 crore rupees. The state government has ordered distribution of 25 kilogram rice, 1 kilogram red gram dal, 1 litre of edible oil, a kilogram each of potatoes and onion to the flood-affected families.
Labour and Employment Minister Bhupendra Yadav today flagged off the first ever All India Domestic Workers Survey. The survey will cover 742 districts in 37 states and union territories. The objective is to estimate the number and proportion of domestic workers at national and state level and find out household estimates of live-in and live-out domestic workers. Besides, it will also estimate average number of domestic workers engaged by different types of households. The minister said the survey will help the government understand significant issues and chart evidence-based data-driven policies.
लेबर कोड पूरे देश में लागू हो रहा है, उसमें जो सोशल सिक्योरिटी का एस्पेक्ट है, उस सोशल सिक्योरिटी के एस्पेक्ट को हमको देखना चाहिए और कोई भी समाज तनाव रहित या मॉरल वैल्यूज पे बहुत अच्छा तब चल सकता है जब हम बहुत अच्छे ढंग से समाज के व्यापक लोगों को सोशल सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड। और अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर का हमारा जो पोर्टल तैयार करने का विषय वो इसीलिए है कि अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में भी बहुत बड़ी संख्या में अलग अलग ट्रेड में लोग काम करते हैं, उन सब तक सोशल सिक्योरिटी का दायरा कैसे पहुंचे।
Schools in the national capital Delhi will remain closed for physical classes till further orders in view of the prevailing air quality situation. The Delhi government's Directorate of Education in a circular said the Environment Department is directed to close all the schools with immediate effect till further orders of the Commission for Air Quality Management in the National Capital Region and adjoining areas, and therefore all government and private schools will remain closed till further orders. In Gujarat, classes for students from 1 to 5 resume from today following an announcement by the State Education Minister Jitu Bhai Bhagani. He announced his decision last week at a function in Surat. The state government has also issued necessary resolutions in this regard. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that following this decision, now standard 1 to 5 students can attend their school in person for the first time since the outbreak of COVID-19 in March 2020. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Class 1 to 5 students can attend the schools in person following the decision taken by the state government. The schools had been demanding the resumption of in-person education for class 1 to 5 since the ease of COVID-19 infections. The school's operators have welcomed the decision. According to the government guidelines, the standard operating procedure being implemented for class 6 to 12 will also apply for class 1 to 5. Parents' consent will be required for students attending the schools. Physical attendance will not be compulsory. Similarly, online education will continue as earlier. The presence of small children in the schools will be a moral booster in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Yogesh Pandya, Air News, Ahmedabad.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in Morning News since the 16th of August and will continue till the 15th of August 2022. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 8826546262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this struggle every day.
जो लक्ष्मीबाई महारानी की एक बलिदानी है, योद्धा मर्दानी है, वीरांगना झलकारी बाई की अमर कहानी है.
In today's episode, we remember the incredible warrior and freedom fighter Jhalkari Bai, who was born on the 22nd of November 1830. An advisor and confidant to the legendary Rani Lakshmi Bai, she played a key role in the battle formations alongside Lakshmi Bai and emerged as a prominent fighter during the First War of Indian Independence in 1857.
Jhalkari was born to Sadoba Singh and Jamuna Devi in Bhojla village near Jhansi. Jhalkari didn't go to school for a formal education, but was taught to wield weapons skillfully and given horseback riding lessons since her childhood. Tales of her bravery were famous in Jhansi's households. It is said that once when dacoits tried to raid the village, Jhalkari single-handedly drove them away. She is also said to have killed a tiger with her axe when the animal tried to attack her in the jungle.
Rani Lakshmi Bai spotted Jhalkari during a festival celebration in Jhansi Fort and was surprised by the uncanny resemblance Jhalkari shared with her. When the Queen was briefed on Jhalkari's brave acts, she was quickly inducted into the women's wing of the army. In 1858, when British Field Marshal Hugh Henry Rose attacked Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai took on the British forces from her fort with just an army of 4,000. However, she was betrayed by one of her own commanders, thus making defeat imminent.
Counselled by her generals, Lakshmi Bai quietly slipped away from Jhansi on horseback. Jhalkari Bai set out for General Rose's camp in disguise and declared herself to be the queen. This led to a confusion that continued for a whole day and gave Lakshmi Bai enough time to escape. Jhalkari Bai died on 4th April 1858 while defending her queen and fighting for her motherland.
Her courage has left behind a rich legacy for millions to emulate. There is a statue in her honor in Gwalior. In 2001, the Government of India released a stamp to pay tribute to Jhalkari Bai, a warrior who lived and died defending her people and her country. We salute her indomitable spirit.
Today, we also commemorate the birth anniversary of Indian nationalist Shanti Ghosh, who was born on 22nd of November 1916 in Kolkata, West Bengal.
Ghosh was a founder member of the Chhatri Sangha in Comilla and joined the militant revolutionary organization Jugantar Party. On the 14th of December 1931, Ghosh and Suniti Chaudhary, both 16 years old at that time, walked into the office of Charles Jeffrey Buckland Stevens, the district magistrate of Comilla, under the pretense that they wanted to present candies and chocolates to the magistrate prior to Christmas.
While Stevens ate the candy and said, "These are delicious," Ghosh and Chaudhary removed automatic pistols which were hidden under their shawls and said, "Well, how about this one, Mr. Magistrate?" and shot him.
The two girls were sentenced to transportation for life and sent to Hijli detention camp, Kharagpur. However, in 1939, after having served 7 years of sentence, they were released because of the amnesty negotiations between Mahatma Gandhi and the British government.
After her release, Ghosh attended the Bengali Women's College and joined politics. She served on the West Bengal Legislative Council from 1952 to 62 and 1967 to 68 and on the West Bengal Legislative Assembly from 1962 to 64. She continued to work for the betterment of India till her death in 1989. We salute the great Indian patriot.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow. In today's episode of Dharohar, we will bring you the speech of veteran freedom fighter Rajarshi Purushottam Das Tandon.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helplines toll-free number 14404, issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago. Hockey Men's Junior World Cup 2021 has been hosted by Odisha. The tournament will be held from the 24th of November to 5th December 2021. 16 teams will feature in the tournament. Odisha had successfully hosted the 2018 Men's Hockey World Cup.
Secretary of the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, Mr. Apurva Chandra, visited All India Radio Panaji this morning. The Secretary had a meeting with the officials and discussed the operational and functional aspects of the organization. Deputy Director General Sunil Bhatia, Deputy Director Yashoda Nandan, RNU Head Tushar Jadhav, Correspondent Mukesh Thali, among others, were present in the meeting. The Secretary expressed his pleasure at the tremendous response to the 52nd edition of IFFI. In his address at the opening ceremony, he had hailed the progress made in India's vaccination campaign, which allowed movie lovers to enjoy the cinematic celebration in Goa. Speaking to AIR, the Secretary remarked about the enthusiastic response from movie buffs to the 52nd IFFI.
I have been here at the 52nd IFFI and it is very heartening to see the excitement amongst the patrons who are coming here. I met some patrons who have been visiting here for the past 8-10 years and they are so keen to watch movies one after the other that they are not willing even to wait for 5 to 10 minutes for a delay in the movie. And they are now, with the COVID wave coming down, and a lot of people are showing a lot of excitement about the films, and Goa of course is a nice host and a nice city for that.
IFFI is celebrating India at 75 this year. Babu Band Baja in Marathi and Kaka Muthai in Tamil were included in the schedule today as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Marathi movie Godavari, directed by Nikhil Mahajan, is the highlight of the day at the 52nd Annual International Film Festival of India. The film Godavari is competing for the Golden Peacock Awards category this year. It tells the story of a family living on the banks of river Godavari in Nashik.
परंपरा म्हणजे काय रे?
परंपरा म्हणजे काय? असं एकानंतर एक, एका पुढे असं.
The temple.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. The national capital Delhi is expected to have mainly clear sky. Mumbai is likely to have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Chennai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky. Srinagar will have mainly clear sky. And Jammu will also have mainly clear sky.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. President Ramnath Kovind confers gallantry awards and distinguished service decorations to armed forces personnel. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu appreciates the role of Indian Railways during the pandemic, flags off Visakhapatnam Kirandul passenger train and additional Vistadome coaches. Home Minister Amit Shah pays tribute to tribal freedom fighters, lays foundation stone for setting up of Rani Gaidinliu Tribal Freedom Fighters Museum in Imphal East. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia chairs a review meeting on vaccination progress with northeastern states and Union Territory of Puducherry. Labour and Employment Minister Bhupender Yadav initiates the first ever All India Domestic Workers Survey covering 742 districts in 37 states and UTs. Central team to visit flood-affected areas of Tamil Nadu to assess damages caused by heavy rains. More than 116 crore 87 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Recovery rate at 98.31% in Gujarat. Classes for students from 1st to 5th resume from today. Austria imposes nationwide lockdown following massive spike in COVID-19 cases. And in hockey, Men's Junior World Cup 2021 tournament to begin from Wednesday in Odisha. And with that we end the midday news.